Good evening, I'm Mike.
And I'm Steve.
And this is night 2 of reading Magic Treehouse #1, Dinosaurs Before Dark, by the greatest writer in all of mankind, Mary Pope Osborne.
So we got the rebel, Annie, 7 years old, found the treehouse. She went straight up to it. Jack, 8.5. He's not sure yet. We haven't figured out what he's gonna do.
Jack crawled through a hole in the treehouse floor, so
we now know what he's gonna do.
He went up. He went into the treehouse. Wow, the treehouse was filled with books. Books everywhere. Very old books with dusty covers. New books with shiny, bright covers. Okay, so in the real world, to me, what this seems like is that there are some gangsters, and they go around stealing books. You know, they got plenty of new books, but they've also got like the old, like,
we're gonna hide these away.
First edition Hemingways, first edition
in that treehouse,
Fitzgerald's, and so yeah, they store them in a treehouse, and then they go and they get them and they sell them to collectors
when it's ready, when it's time.
So that's where I think this is going to go. Actually, chapter 2 is called The Monster. I have to imagine that's a typo. It's actually supposed to be The Mobster. The
Mobster.
And so Jack and Annie are. They're about to run into some trouble.
The mob of...
where are they? They live in, Pennsylvania. Where do they live? Frog Creek, Pennsylvania.
The mobsters of Frog.
There is some extraordinarily high crime rates out in the county in which Frog Creek, Pennsylvania lies. So let's see what happens.
Yes.
The mobster. Look, you can see far, far away, said Annie. She was peering out the treehouse window. Jack looked out of the window with her. Down below were the tops of the other trees. In the distance, he saw the Frog Creek Library.
More books.
Perhaps...
Easy access?
Yeah. They can see their target. They can watch their target. That's where they've been staking it out. So they sit there. They've been staking out the library.
All the other trees,
they wait until the lights go out. The librarian goes home. They descend. And that's the thing. The treehouse is so high up, hidden in the branches, that all they do is they zip line straight to the library. They come back, they climb up that rope ladder, they pull it up. Nobody can see them up in the trees, especially when it's dark out. But of course, yeah, this is dangerous. They are playing an extraordinarily dangerous game, Jack and Annie. The elementary school, the park, you can also see the elementary school.
Everything. Where anybody would be, a mass amount of people, is like, okay, they're gone. Go, 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 go.
Annie pointed in the other direction. There's our house, she said. Creepy.
But if they find out who does it, they can keep an eye on them.
Watch their house. Sniper.
Insight.
He's 8.5 years old. The kid's only 8 years old. 8.5.
We'll wait for her in a year and a half.
She's ours. Sure enough, there was their white wooden house with the green porch. Next door was their neighbor's black dog, Henry. He looked very tiny. Send them a message. Put one between Henry's eyes.
Hello, Henry.
Well, you know what? They introduced a dog, and what happens to the dogs at the end of kids' books?
Can't do that, man.
They die.
Can't do that.
Unless you're Shiloh. Shiloh's special. Hi, Henry, shouted Annie. Shush, said Jack. We're not supposed to be up here. He glanced around the treehouse again. I wonder who owns all these books, he said. He noticed bookmarks were sticking out of many of them. Well, sure, you gotta read them to make sure that they, top quality books now. Top quality literature gets
that means somebody has
price on the black market.
Somebody has been reading them.
Sure.
There's a place for all of them.
Well, no, I mean, it's like, look, if you're selling cocaine, right? Okay. You get the cocaine shipment, you take out your switchblade knife, you stick it in, you pull it out, you taste it, you dab a little bit on the inside of your nose just to make sure. So no, they're just opening them, reading a random passage. Annie, look at this, Jack called out. Look what I found. And they go, yeah, okay, that's pretty good writing.
What did he find?
This Mary Pope Osborne is the greatest writer of all of mankind. So, you know, I think we can get a high price per kilo on these books here.
It's a good book. Pretty heavy.
It's a pretty good book. Get the scale. Get the scale. What's the reading level on that? It's first grade. This is first grade, baby.
Smell these pages.
Numero. Oh, I love that new book smell. He glanced around the treehouse again. There were bookmarks sticking out. I like this one, said Annie. She held up a book with a castle on the cover. Here's a book about Pennsylvania, said Jack. Boring. She's like,
one about fantasy and a new world. One about where we live.
Yeah, I would like to read about what I can see out my window every day.
A dictionary.
But that's their personalities, right? He plays by the book. She is reckless. She wants to be whisked away to far-off lands.
What happened to Jack? So he just lost all imagination.
Jack really needs to loosen up.
It's good that he's all, like, you know, responsible.
I'm sure he
taking
gets
care of his little sister.
Taking care of his little sister, but you know, once in a while,
imagination is good. Lighten up.
Take your head out of your ass, Jack.
Let's see what happens.
He turned to the page with the bookmark on the book about Pennsylvania.
Oh yeah.
Hey, there's a picture of Frog Creek in here, said Jack. It's a picture of these woods. Oh, here's a book for you, said Annie. She held up a book about dinosaurs. A blue silk bookmark was sticking out of it. Let me see it, Jack. Jack lost his mind for a second. He's like, oh, let me see it. Jack set down his backpack and grabbed the book from her. You look at that one, and I'll look at the one about castles, said Annie. She was really trying to help him there. She's just like, oh, you'll like this book. He's like, no, I want to read about Pennsylvania. 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 Oh, look, a whole book about cheesesteaks. She's like, Jack, you really need to.
You're okay.
Let's just broaden your horizons a little bit. Dinosaurs Before Dawn. No! Mary Pope Osborne. She's the greatest writer of all of mankind.
Pennsylvania.
No, we better not, said Jack. He was fine looking at the book about Pennsylvania, but the second that she's suggesting a book about dinosaurs, he's like, oh, no, Annie, I'm not sure that that's such a good idea. We don't know who these books belong to. Damn Skippy, Jack. But even as he said this, Jack opened the dinosaur book to where the bookmark was. He couldn't help himself. He was just like, no, we shouldn't. We really shouldn't. Oh, look at the horns on that Triceratops. Oh, so
big and powerful.
Oh, look at that mastodon. I know that a mastodon is a mammal and not a dinosaur. I'm not stupid, people.
Let's get our facts straight.
What do you think I am? Some kind of Annie? That was unfair. That was unfair to Annie. That was unfair. Those are fighting words. Excuse me. He couldn't help himself. He turned to a picture of an ancient flying reptile. A pteranodon. See, I was joking at first. Pteranodon. Pteranodon. Jesus Christ. P-T-E-R-A-N-O-D-O-N. A pteranodon. Pteranodon.
Yay, we did it.
Seriously, what's the reading level on this? It's got to be like first grade, right? Do they say? Is that a thing? Like, I've always heard about reading levels, but I don't.
I don't know.
Do they actually, like, stick them in?
Copyright 1992.
1992, hey.
Wow.
Anywho, it's a pteranodon. He touched the huge bat-like wings. Oh, yeah.
Wings.
Wow, whispered Jack. I wish I could see a pteranodon for real. See, Jack had no fucking problem. Jack didn't have to sound it out like big old stupid asshole me. He's got pteranodon.
Easy.
Easy. This is like 8.5.
Second grade.
I'm 8.5. I know how to read the word pteranodon out loud. I go in the woods when it's dark. I climb giant rope ladders. Whatever. What the fuck do you do? Nothing. You don't do nothing. I'm embarrassed. Personally, I am quite embarrassed by this kid's mad skills versus my own not so mad skills. Jack studied the picture of the odd-looking creature soaring through the sky. Ah! Screamed Annie. As she was subsequently sucked down the garbage disposal. What? Said Jack. A monster! Cried Annie.
Not again.
See, it's the girl who cried monster. She kept doing it. Now Jack doesn't believe her, and she's having her soul torn apart by
Pteranodon outside, ripping everything apart.
She pointed to the treehouse window. Stop pretending, Annie, said Jack. No, really, said Annie. Jack looked out the window. A giant creature was gliding. A giant creature was gliding above the treetops. He had a long, weird crest on the back of his head, a skinny beak, and huge bat-like wings. It was a real-life pteranodon. The creature curved through the sky. He was coming straight towards the treehouse. On his back was a mobster wearing a black suit with a white tie and a black fedora. He held out his Tommy machine gun. Rat-a-tat-a-tat-a-tat-a-tat-a-tat-a-tat-a-tat-a. The children ducked, but the bullet ripped through the wood that surrounded the treehouse.
And everything was still.
And then everything was still. He looked like a glider plane, the pteranodon. The wind began to blow. The leaves trembled. Suddenly, the creature soared up high into the sky. Jack nearly fell out the window trying to see it. Yeah, let's stay in. Let's stay in the window, Jack. The wind picked up. It was whistling now. The treehouse started to spin. "What's happening?" cried Jack. "Get down!" shouted Annie.
Here, Jack, take this.
I lost my page. She pulled him back from the window. The treehouse was spinning faster and faster. Jack squeezed his eyes shut. He held on to the neck of the bottle with the rag hanging out of it. A Molotov cocktail was always in style. Jack squeezed his eyes shut. He held on to Annie. Then everything was still. Absolutely still. Oh, no, that was a thing. That is a thing. Jack opened his eyes. Sunlight slanted through the window. There was Annie, bloody, motionless. The books, his backpack.
Jack rose from the dead, sipped some smoke. A new man.
Like a phoenix from the flame. The treehouse was still high up in an oak tree, but it wasn't the same oak tree.
Oh, man.
And Steve, that's about all we got time for tonight.
I'm too riled up. Gotta calm down.
Time for bed. We'll read more tomorrow. Good night, Steve.
Good night, Mike.